Hello, and welcome to another episode, a riveting episode with Looking Out and Up with Penny and Les Sojourner. I'm Penny,
And I'm Les.
and today we're going to discuss who are they?
The ever infamous, yes, they. They will tell you what you are supposed to do. They are the ones responsible. They are the order givers. So,
Who are they?
that is the question we are going to answer today. And maybe more important than just, obviously, there's no set answer to that question. But when we engage in people and they're using the word they, not
Which is
as...
very ambiguous.
It's terribly ambiguous. And they're not using it in the new trans world pronoun form of they, them. They're using it as a strange appeal to authority. So I am going to actually postulate today that they is one of the most dangerous words in the American lexicon.
Really?
Yep. It's a very strange appeal to authority that really remains ambiguous. And the danger in the word they, I think that most people we'll all get this as we go along, I think, as we get into this discussion a little bit more. But it's an appeal to authority that really eliminates responsibility. It's passing on responsibility. Somebody is going to use it as a cop-out when they are questioned about why something is the way it is. I think we've all run into this, whether we deal with it at our jobs or whether we deal with it at an employer or even just in a standard argument. I think that it's used all the time as, like I say, a strange appeal to authority.
So when we know who they are, we're able to make more informed decisions.
That's true. And the real problem with this is that we're going to find in our everyday world that they is used as a roadblock. So getting to the bottom of who they are when people are using it as an appeal to authority, it's very difficult to peel back the layers and find out who it is they are talking about.
Well, I had to look this up. So
Yeah, okay. That's Penny for you. She's going to look up everything. We want to make sure that we're not deviating from Mr. Webster's standard definition.
So according to Webster Dictionary, they is a pronoun.
Yes, we know. We've all found that out in the last 5 years. We're more aware of it now than we probably ever have been.
And it's used to refer to a single or an unspecified person.
Okay, so this would be the example of somebody is leaving a restaurant and they leave something behind. So somebody is, hey, they left their purse, or hey, they left their notebook. So it's singular, but we're using the plural they for some reason. That is Webster's definition, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's used to refer to people in a general way, or to a group of people who are not specified. So people use they as authority to get you to conform.
This is one of my favorites because in the working world, this is very common. We see this a lot with if you have a low level, I don't want to say low level sounds bad, but if you have a direct supervisor, line lead, or something like that at your work, if you ask them why you're doing something a specific way, oftentimes you will be referred to the dreaded they. They said that this is how it's going to be done. Now, if you'd really like to get yourself into a lot of trouble, or you'd like to be given a real stink eye, make sure you ask somebody, who are they? Who is they? Is it a they, or is it a singular person that they know the actual name of? Or has it just been going on so long that this is the reference? We just simply fall back to they. Nobody knows anymore who implemented this actual process or who was responsible for it.
Well, it's not important when they say they, when they use they as the authority. It's not important to them. They're just relaying it to you. It's they. They told us this is the way they want it done.
Mm-hmm. So what we're going to try to do today is we're going to try to figure out how do we get to the bottom of this, and where this irritates me most. And I tend to not get along most of the time with government. I don't have a very high opinion of government, especially in its local form. This is what you will find going into local government offices when you are looking for information. It will always be they, the person at the desk who really bears no responsibility. They're really out there running interference. And so it usually is, I think it's not really they as it really is a fallback to, well, this is the way it's always been done. They use they as the idea of this is how it's done, and it takes away accountability, right? There is nobody now necessarily accountable. We haven't named a person. And it's funny, you'll find this out if you really press this issue with people. Most people are very reluctant to even start even attempting to name names.
Well, maybe they're not reluctant. They don't really know. They've just been told this is how you do things.
And that is true. But if you press the issue, will you actually get to the bottom of who they are?
No. No,
Most
I don't think
times-
so. They'll roll their eyes at you.
Yeah, this is kind of the standard operating procedure.
Or they'll say, or they'll think, why does it matter? I'm telling you what you have to do.
Well, this is a subject for another day, is why does it matter to you? Well, we all have different things that matter to us. We all have our own perceptions of how we would like the world to work, or what we think should be happening, whether it's at work or whether it's in local politics or whatever, federal politics, state politics. We all have our own preferences for how we think things should be going. But they really dismiss that, and they try to make you feel as though it's an unimportant question to keep delving into they.
Well, you ask them, well, who are they? Because you want to find, you're running into a problem, you're running into a wall because they just keep repeating, the person in front of you keeps repeating, well, they want you to sign this.
Well, the irony of all of this would be if you said, who are they? And the response, of course, from the person behind the desk would be, they're not going to allow me to say that. They're not going to allow me to tell you. They remain shrouded in mystery.
And they look at you like you're a troublemaker. And why would you even be questioning? This is a silly question. Why don't you just do what I just told you to do?
Mm-hmm. That is definitely what they do. We have run into it headlong throughout our lives, and as I've gotten older, it's a word that just has really begun to annoy me. It's a word that really, it's a lazy redirection, or not even a misdirection. It's a lazy misdirection that people just seem to be hung up on. And a lot of us are just as guilty. So if we're asked specifically, if you think something is wrong in the world, you will probably revert back to this word yourself. Well, they did this. They are responsible for my taxes going up, or they are responsible for the roads not being repaired. And I think it's best if we start learning to
Ask.
well
Inquire.
and inquire with ourselves before we start really reaching out into the outside world, right? So we should stop using this word, except when it's the only possible way to use, and except when it's the only word possible to get across what we're looking for. But in this particular instance, we should stop saying, they didn't fix the roads. They didn't do X. They are responsible for holding me down. Specificity is what we need. We need to be specific about who it is that we believe is responsible, who we can hold accountable.
And the reason why we want specificity. How do you
Specificity. I can't even say it a second time.
Specificity.
No. Specificity or something like that. Well, never mind. We'll just skip that. They all know what we're trying to say.
Okay. So, all right. So why ask for specificity?
Ooh, that was good.
Is that good?
Yeah, that was right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who they are? Why? Why?
Well, I can't say that it's important to everybody. Some people are fine with that response. I think that as we're kind of floating towards, I think we live in a world now where everybody, this is like where many people in our government, our bosses, people that we have to deal with on a regular basis, are skirting responsibility, are skirting accountability. And we should start, I think we're in a world now that people are getting sick and tired of just being given the runaround. And we're going to hopefully be key in on a few of these other words as we go through this and as we think of new topics. There's going to be other words that are going to become obvious to you or us, all of us, that are being used to avoid accountability, responsibility. And we have to learn to press this issue when it's important to us. It's not always going to be, this is one of those things, right, where is it the hill you want to die on? I'm not saying you lose your job because you want to keep pushing about the they thing. But there is a point in time where I think all of us have to take some responsibility for not taking it as a good enough reason. It's not a good enough authority. We should be finding out who is running our lives, who is responsible for making this decision or that decision, or whether they're good decisions or bad decisions. It's funny because it's really not that difficult if we don't watch the news hardly ever. But if you watch a news conference, you oftentimes will, when something good happens, they have no problem pointing out who the individual or individuals were that were responsible for making a good thing happen.
Like when they always tell you, the news is fast to tell you who the guilty party is.
Yes, as long as it's not them, as long as it's not the government themselves or an authoritative figure, then yes, the news, the outlets, the press conferences are very quick to point out who is at fault for something. Not quite so easy to get that answer when it's not an individual who's doing something, we'll use air quotes, against the law or illegal. When it's people in government who are engaged in it, or local leadership, or bosses, or supervisors, then it becomes very difficult to pinpoint who's responsible, who's accountable.
And you can't find a solution to whatever issue or problem you're facing until you get some clarity on who this authoritative they are. Because once you find out who the specific person
who they are,
mm-hmm. then you have clarity and you can use the information.
You know, here's a interesting example of this, just locally here by us. We have a battery plant that they're attempting to get put up. It's not even a battery plant. It's a battery holding. It's a lithium battery storage facility. That's going up not far from us here. And this was all, the appeal to the they authority was the local township here created a, what did they call it? A board?
They
had a planning commission. They put together an unelected planning commission. And the board here decided that whatever the planning commission determined that they were going to do, that's what the board was going to do. And this was a very interesting way of, once again, skirting responsibility or accountability, because we're elected and we could all be recalled if, in a worst case scenario, we could all be elected out the next time. And lo and behold, they go ahead, they're going to push this thing through. And somebody asked who they were enough. Somebody dug deep enough to find out who this planning commission was and who they were made up of. And well, I just said it, lo and behold, what did they find out, Penny?
I don't know what.
They found out that a gentleman who was on the planning commission
Oh, yes.
was the one who owned the property and was leasing it to the soon-to-be battery storage facility. This person on this unelected board had skin in the game. Matter of fact, he had all the skin in the game. And it took somebody not allowing they, as in this particular instance, it was the Planning Commission. They will determine. And somebody pushed enough, did enough on unraveling, and figured out that they were made up of people who stood to gain from this battery storage facility. They was not good enough for this local individual. That individual did the digging and uncovered what was going on. That wouldn't have happened had we all just accepted they, as the commission, were going to be responsible for whether or not this battery storage facility goes up or not. So, just kind of an interesting story here locally. This has just been in the last month. This has been kind of a big stink here around the area. But it does show you the power of, when necessary or when you think the fight is worth fighting, to start peeling back the layers and start asking, who are they?
Ask it at work.
Yeah, if this is one that bothers me. I can't stand dealing with no authoritative figure stepping up and claiming responsibility, right? I think leaders, that's a requirement in a leader. He takes responsibility whether the call was the right call or the wrong call. And he's also capable of, he doesn't have to sit and grovel and beg for anybody's forgiveness, but he admits that he was wrong and can change course. He can change something. And when you work for a small company, that's what I've traditionally liked to do, and I know you've traditionally liked to do that as well, is working for smaller companies, it's a little bit easier to kind of figure out who they are. The larger the company you work for, this is going to be more difficult. But you are going to run headlong into this word, and it's going to be, I do believe that this is one of the worst words when it comes to people retaining their own self-sovereignty, if you will. We are told that they told you so. They are responsible. But when it comes time, if things went wrong, who are we going to hold responsible? Well, they is still they. There's no individual or individuals that we can point to specifically. Hence the danger in the word they. And why I consider it, even over the F word, Penny, even over the F word, one of the most dangerous four-letter words in America today.
So, just because something has always been done a certain way for a long time, whether it's the procedure is in government or in employment, if the procedure has been done a long time, people just go along with it, believing this is the right way and the most efficient way, the best way.
Unfortunately, that is kind of the world we live in now, Penny. That does seem to be the way that the world works. But we as individuals, not us, but individuals, have to take this on themselves. We have to start questioning who they are. And if we're not going to start questioning who they are, we will have to just learn to live with the consequences of not questioning who they are.
So, let's keep questioning then.
Keep questioning, always. We always want to thank you guys for tuning in. And just remember, they is a four-letter word.